Hi all, good afternoon to everyone. In the last session, we have focused how to define a function and we have explored the rules of functions. Finally, we have seen this example. We have focused how to define a function, return type, function name, parameter list. Then within the opening and closing curly braces, function statement should be returned. Before the main function section, the corresponding function prototype should be declared to the compiler. So to declare the prototype, follow the syntax return type function name parameter list semicolon. We can call a function from the main function any number of times. A function can return only one value to the calling place. The default return type of a function is int1. That means in the last example we have explored that if a function would like to return the integer value without specifying its type as int, by default the return type int is taken. We have also verified that intf semicolon that also works, or intf inside the function definition that also works. Intf or intf both in function prototype and both in function definition are also working. By default, if a function does not specify a return type, and in case it tries to send a value to the calling function, the only possible value to be returned from the function is which is of integer type. That's what the default return type of a function is an integer one that we have discussed. Hope all of you have gone through these programs, whatever we have discussed earlier. If you have any doubts in that, now you can ask. Have any doubts? Okay, we solve problems based on the functions. Please take the next one. Write a function. Write a function to print the divisors of a given integer. Assuming that n is the positive integer given, we need to print the divisors of the given integer. So for that we need to write a main function and then we need to define a user defined function, pass the input to the function from the main function and print the divisors within the function definition itself. Include header file hash include stdio.h into main. We need to get one input value. So declare the variable as integer one into n. Printf slash n. Enter the positive integer. Scanf percentage d ampersand n. We are going to define one function to say function return type is void find device source, or you can use the function find underscore device source, whatever it is. We are defining one variable. For example, the variable is x. Within this function definition, What we have to do, we need to find the factors of x. Find the factors or divisors of x. What is x further? X is the formal argument, a formal parameter. Please keep the rules of functions carefully. Having one integer input, for example, inside the function definition, that is x, we need to print the divisors of x. So to print the divisors of x, we can use the for loop, or before that we can print, write the message, print the divisors of percentage d or x is replaced here. Print slash n percentage d. One is a factor of every number, so I am trying to print the value 1 before our computation. Then use the for loop for declare a variable, say into j, j is equal to 2, j less than or equal to x, j plus plus. If x mod j is equal to 0, then printf slash d percentage d, comma, the value of j is printed because j checks the divisors for x within the range 2 to x by 2. We need not check from x by 2 plus 1 to the final value of x. Finally, we can print one more divisor as printf slash d percentage d. X is also the divisor of itself. And we do not want to return a value to the calling place. Simply, we are processing the function by calling it from the main function. So here, calling the user-defined function using its name, find divisor's actual parameter n is supplied. N is the actual parameter. Main ends here by returning the value 0. Return 0. This is the user defined function. Let us save the file. Save. File name is next one, cp41. Compilation. What is the error?
Prototype should be given, right?
Very good. A function prototype should be given. I have said right how to give the function prototype. Void find underscore devices function name. Then in the parameter list, right, you try to learn right all possibilities. I am saying int x. This is value because I have said right whatever is the function header in the function definition, that is the return type, function name, parameter list including the data type. Completely right copy and put semicolon right at the end. This is a valid function prototype. Same way, Let me comment on this one and add this declaration void find underscore device source within parentheses. We need to inform to the compiler that what type of actual or formal parameter is there, right? So normally here we need to specify its type. What is the type here? Type is function definition. Function definition here, the type is an integer one. So just int is enough. Int semicolon. Let me save and compile. F9 file has been compiled successfully. This is also the valid, yeah, valid function prototype. So understand clearly here, as far as the parameter list, this is the parameter list in the function prototype. This is concerned. Data type is enough. You need not specify data type space variable, or even here you can specify any variable. For example, I write to have another declaration. These are the things, right, that you need to learn. Void find underscore devices. Instead of x, right, I use one variable, say int n. Now have a look here, F9 program has been compiled successfully. So this is also a valid to the function prototype. Simply in the function prototype, what is actually expected, return type is expected, then parameter list, right, other than the function name. In the parameter list, what we have to include, the data type of parameters, right? That is necessary. We need not specify the equivalent, right? A formal parameter. If you say right int x, here x can be taken as a formal parameter. In case instead of int n, if you try to give character, should delete F9, error is there because the undefined symbol, right? A cat, what one? Char n, or just to have cat F2, F9. Again, we have the compile time error, right? Linker error. So the specified, which one? Char, this is not matched with the formal parameter. Here, in case if you try to specify char in the function definition, that is okay. So if the actual parameter is, for example, a character one, in the case of function prototype, this focuses only on the function definition, formal parameter. So here you must specify its type exactly as given in the function definition. Otherwise, what happens? Compile time error is the result. For example, here instead of find the device source within the actual parameter n, you can also specify the character. When you specify the character, first let us run the program. Control F9. Enter the positive integer 2. The divisors of 2 are 1 and 2. Control F, sorry, Control F9. Okay. Control F9. Enter the positive integer 100. Divisors of 100 are 1, 2, 4, 5, 10, 20, 25, 50, 100. How do we have returned the code? We have returned the code using the logic of prime numbers. There, right, we found the prime factors of the given number, or simply the factors of the given integer. by dividing or by checking it within the range 2 to n by 2. So please understand here, first find divisors of n. N receives a value 100. What is n? N is the input variable. When n receives 100, n is the actual parameter. The actual parameter n is being passed as a parameter to the formal parameter. So here the variable x receives a value of n, that is x receives 100. Even in the highlighted place x, if you put n, no problem. This n defined in find underscore divisors acts as a local variable. This n defined in the function, right? Main function acts as a local variable to the main function. Like the function parameter here, n or even this x cannot be accessible outside the scope of this function, right? So later we will discuss the scope and the lifetime of variables. So stop now, right? Just to have a concept. This is the actual parameter. If you like to have the same actual parameter here, no problem. Put n and access n anywhere within this function definition. But this n is a local n. This n actually receiving the value from the actual parameter n. So here I have given another variable. Understand clearly, if n is 100, the value of n is passed as a parameter to x. So clearly x receives 100 here. To find the divisors of 100, first we have printed the number 1. Since 1 is the divisor or factor of every integer, 1 is printed. Then for 100, what we have to do, we need to find the divisors mean we can check only the range from 1 to 100 by 2, because 100 by 2 this results in the integer 50. Since 1 is the factor of divisor of every integer, excluding 1 started to 2 within the range 2 to 100 by 2, that means 2 to 50, we are checking if there is a divisor for 100 is available. So further check 100 mod 2. If it is 0, then print the value of 2. Then check 100 mod 3. If this results in 0, because modulus percentage operator, this returns a reminder after performing the integer division. So this way we are checking how long we are checking 100 modulus 50, because this is the input. Suppose x up to x by 2, there may be factors. So after x by 2, that means x cannot be or x is not divisible by x by 2 plus 1 for the given integer. So 100 mod 51, 100 mod 52, etc. I check up to 100 mod what one? 100, 100 mod 99. These are not necessary. Finally, 100 mod 100, since 100, every integer exists divisible by itself. So to include that, after this for loop, I have printed the value of x, because x is x is a factor of divisor of itself. Hope you understand the for loop construction. Opening and closing curly brace of this for is not necessary, because we have only one if conditional statement and one printf statement. In case if you want, you can provide the opening and closing curly braces. This is the logic. In this case, if you run for x is equal to or n is equal to 100, n is being assigned in the variable x, so that the divisors of 100 are operated. Have any doubts in this example?
No, sir, clear.
Okay. So I said right, int x, int n, no problem. This is the local variable. If you put right int n, no problem. Here right, the variable is not necessary. Just it expects type only. What type of value is passed as the parameter. So another thing, right? As I said, I like to write call the person second time. For example, find underscore device source. I pass a character small e. Just to see right what happens. Control F9. Initially, I try to give a value 100. Factors of sorry 1000. Factors of 1000 are printed here. Then it seems right divisors of 97 are. It seems right 97 is a prime number. Good. 197. Now what happens? Carefully understand. The actual parameter is a character type one. So when you pass character, character is type promoted to the integer one. That's what I have said earlier. Since in the function definition, what type of value is being received? The value being received is the integer value. Even though you are passing the character one from the calling statement, character here the data type receiving data type is integer one. Character is type promoted to integer one because character to integer, right? A conversion is possible. Each character defines its own ASCII value, unique ASCII value. So character is a type promoter to integer one. That's what here this int x formal parameter is of integer one. Hence int specification is necessary in the function prototype. In case if you put char with match with a match to this actual parameter, this char, this results in the compile time error because the function prototype, this is based on what type of value is actually received in the formal parameter. So formal parameter is the integer one, hence that you need to specify the integer one. So hope you understand. In this example, we have defined a function. The function passes one value actual parameter which is of integer one. That integer is received in the function definition. We have processed the function definition based on the formal parameter. Then we didn't return a value to the calling place, and the return type is assumed to be void here. So here also the return type is void, and in the function call statement there is no left hand side variable, or we can say the function call statement is not processed within the printf statement because the function call we are not returning the value, that means single value, not returning the value from the function definition. In that case, carefully make a function call. So how do we specify a function call? Function call is specified using the name of the function. Name of the function within bracket specify the values of the actual parameter. You can specify the values of actual parameter as direct values or even specify the expression. The expression is evaluated and then the result is passed as a parameter to the function definition. Suppose here if you put n plus n, input is 50. 50 plus 50, that is 100 is evaluated. 100 is then passed as the parameter to the function definition. Right? So this is another example. where this example receives one parameter and it returns and it will not and it doesn't return the value to the calling place. Instead, the entire computations are carried and printed in the function definition itself. So see the next example. Find the minimum of three integers using function. Return the result to the main function and print the result and print it. This is the problem. Into the header file hash include stdio.h int main declare the variable say int x comma y comma z printf enter three integers. See whatever the problems that we have solved earlier can easily be converted into this user defined function logic. Scan for three integers percentage d, percentage d, percentage d, comma, ampersand x, ampersand y, ampersand z. We do like to return the result to the calling place. So first let's complete the function definition. Find minimum of three integers. The result should be returned to the calling place. So we have find underscore min for three variables say int a, int b, int c. As far as the function definition is concerned, for the formal parameter list, this is suppose the formal parameter list. Data type space variable name. This is required for each of the parameter in the parameter list. So for each parameter in the parameter list, specify its definition as data type 1 space variable 1 comma data type 2 variable 2 etc. This will be defined. Since A, B, C are variables, here let us find the minimum and we can return the result to the calling place. If A is less than B and A is less than C, return A. Else, if B is less than C, return B. Else, C is a three-form language. You can write a code, write even in a single line, no problem. Else, return the C. Enter. I will not be printed. So this line will never get printed because based on the conditional statements, if, else if, and else, either A or any one of A, B or C is actually a minimum one. So the minimum among A, B and C is returned using either the first return or second return or the third return. So the control will never come back again to execute the next statement following the return statement. This will never get executed. So I have given the message, right, for your understanding purpose. The statement are following the return statements will never get executed. Coming to the main function here, we can print the result For example, printf percentage d. Directly we can call a function find underscore min. Actual parameters are x comma y comma z. Printf is true secure. Or you can define one variable int comma min using the variable min. Min is equal to find underscore min x comma y comma z. Then you can print the value of min. Print the percentage d comma min. As we discussed earlier, the returned value may be directly processed in the printf statement like this valid statement, or the returned value is assigned to or received in the left hand side variable properly, and then the variable can be printed or processed subsequently. So now having this declaration, let us define the function prototype as return type is integer 1, function name find underscore min. How many parameters are required? Since actual parameter count is 3, formal parameters count is 3, formal parameters type int, this should be specified in the function prototype. So specify find underscore min function prototype parameters are int, space not necessary, right? Int, space, this is not necessary, right? You can type or int, int, space int, or like this. This is the function prototype. This tells the compiler that find underscore min is a function that is defined following the main function section. That is the logic. Now let us check the code file.
Sir,
Save.
we have to adjust that else statement now, sir.
Where is if
It
A
will
less
return indentation error, I think.
which line?
Else, sir.
No. C is a preform language. I write here. C is a preform language. That means you need not worry about indentation and all. I tell you, right? Let us check the code and I show you. Control F9. Process is already running. Okay. Control F9. Enter three integers 1, 2, 3. 1, 1, right? It shows the result. This is not 11, right? One thing, let me use slash n here. Control F9. 1, 2, 3. 1, next line 1. This indicates that in the first printf statement, directly the value returned is replaced here. Please think that the value 1 is replaced in the highlighted place. 1 is printed in the percentage D format specification. So first output is 1. Second line here, find underscore min x comma y comma z. Yes, second time the function is called with the same parameters and the return value is assigned to the variable min. Min gets printed further. Suppose min is at second location 1, 0, 1, 0, 0. 0 is the minimum quantity. Control F9, 1, 2, minus 1. Minus 1 is the minimum. Understand here, if A less than B and A less than C, return A. There is no indentation error here. Even we can write a statement think that return A star semicolon yes, then else it will it result in a compile time error? No. Here also return B semicolon, then else will it result in a compile time error? No. Another thing I do like to say, just to have a look into here, I put several semicolons. Here also, I put several semicolons. If I compile the code, I press F2, press F9. What happens? Misplaced else. Yeah, okay, okay. Before else, return here, right? After that, right? This is taken as null executable statements. Okay, else return C, return A. This if is associated with this else, then finally, right here I put several semicolons. This stage you will not have any compile time error because this return C, this is return C semicolon, then semicolon, then semicolon, then semicolon, then semicolon. So in between these two semicolons, no executable statement is there. In between these two semicolons, no executable statement is there. Are coming to the main function here, the scanner, I put several semicolons. This will not affect your compilation process. Program still runs perfectly. Enter three integers 1 to 10. Minimum is 1. Only thing is here, if A less than B and A less than C, return A semicolon. The semicolon, right, this is immediately followed with the corresponding else block statement. So this if is associated with this else if. So if you like, you can write the code the same line. This will not result in a compile time error because C is said to be a free form language. Even in a single line, you can write a code. I show it here. After this, opening curly brace, then I put delete, then put end, delete, right? So if you give several deletes, so all will come into a single line. Press F2 and F9. Still, the program runs perfectly. That's what we have said earlier. C is a free-form language. You need not worry about this indentation and all. Even in the main program, right, I used to write the code this way. Into main, opening curly brace. I left some spaces here. Here also I left some spaces, right? So this is to understand the clarity of the program. In case, right, if you type the lines like this, no problem. F2, F9, program still compiles perfectly. This is just for understanding readability of the program so that if there are any compile time or logical errors, you can easily rectify the errors in the code. So for that purpose, we can write the code right by leaving some indentation, but logically this will not result in a compile time error because of its free-form nature.
Okay, sir.
Okay, have any other doubts? Okay, see the next example. 5 new. In this example, we like to pass one integer to the function. The function should return something based on the return value of a function. We need to check if the given integer is positive, negative, or zero. That is the problem. See, this is a different one. Check if the given integer is positive, negative or 0 using the defined function. Print the message. Print the message in the main function. Pass a parameter from main function. So having these restrictions, we need to write a function. The function should pass the function should receive the parameter from the main function. The message, for example, given integer is positive, given integer is negative, given integer is 0. This should be printed. That means these statements should be available in the main function. Ultimately, the function, right, user defined function should be defined in such a way that the function should check if the given integer is positive, negative or 0. So based on the return value from the function definition, we need to print the message in the main function. How to solve this? You need to tell how to solve this problem. I have included the header file. Then main function is defined formally. Okay. Tell me what is required here. Anyone?
An integer, sir.
Okay, one integer to be declared and it should be obtained. Okay, I do it. APN printf dash n, enter an integer. Enter the integer. Okay, I write a scanf statement. Scanf percentage d ampersand n. Here we need to process something. Coming to the function definition, we will write a function prototype and some other main function statements later. How to define the function definition?
Sir, can you repeat once again?
Function name. Okay, a function name is, for example, check underscore pass underscore make underscore 0. So I have written in short check underscore positive underscore negative underscore 0. Let it be like this. Opening and closing curly brace. Then how to complete?
Sir, what about the data type, sir?
Which data type?
For giving the format parameter.
Yeah, that you need to tell, right? So far you learned the rules of functions in C language. So I am expecting the solution from you. So formal parameters will be defined. Since the problem, right, we have assumed that the input parameter should be passed from the main function. So there must be a formal parameter. What about its type?
Integer, sir.
Okay, integer. Okay, integer. Let us have one variable, say q, whatever it is. Then coming to the definition. Before that, please understand the problem, right? How I have formulated the problem. N should be given as the input to the function definition. Function should process something based on that return value inside the main function, devise the logical statements to print the given integer is positive, negative or 0. So what can we check right inside this function definition?
Sir, return type also we have to mention. Okay.
Okay, what about its return type?
Integer only.
Okay, integer only. Then how do we write the logical statements?
Sir, by assuming a
If it is
variable.
greater than 0,
If it is greater than
0.
okay, I write a statement. Sorry, if q is greater than 0, hmm, what needs to be returned? See, there are several ways to write the logic. Here I have assumed that some computation should be done inside the function definition. Based on that, output should be decided. Already we have seen that. Please recall that one important criteria of an algorithm, effectiveness. All well-defined instructions should have a worth to achieve the required result. So please have some reasonable statements that should be executed to conclude the result, positive, negative, or zero. Yes, tell me. Correct. If q greater than 0, return type is integer 1. So we need to return some value. So how to return a value or what value we can return for positive numbers? I said right, we can design the logic in several ways. Just to conclude right one logic from your point of view.
Gives possible.
No, no, don't give a printf the given integer is positive inside the function definition. I expected to print the message in the main function itself. That means clearly from the problem statement, function should return a value to the calling place, that is main function. In the main function, again you need to perform some conditional check to conclude the return value is positive, negative, 0. That is a clue. So if q greater than 0, sure we must return one value. So what we need to return? Even we can return a value q, or we can return some specific positive integer. I write 1, return 1. Then else if q is less than 0, in this case, what we can return? We can return a value say -1. Else, several logics are there, right? I expected you to have one logic, return 0. So based on the return value further, that means in the main function, we need to write a statements based on this return value and have the correct printf statements. So when the integer is positive, we have returned a value 1. When the integer is negative, right, we have returned a value -1. Else, we have returned a value 0. Now coming to the main function, can you tell me the control statements here further to print the message as positive, negative, or 0? Yes, tell me. No idea? If already we have said that the function processing, right, in case of the function returns a value that can be processed in the printf statement directly. You can also process the return value in the conditional statements. So let us check first. For example, check underscore, positive underscore, negative underscore, 0. Then the actual parameter is n. If this is equal to, so if check underscore pass underscore negative underscore 0 of n, this is equal to 1. Since the return value is 1, then we can conclude that the given integer is a positive 1. Else if, but unexpectedly, you will be calling the function, right, twice to check it. But anyhow, just to learn, this kind of if conditional test may also involve the function call. Let us check the code. If this is equal to 1, what is the meaning? Printf slash n percentage d is positive semicolon. Then coming to the else part, else if again you need to call a function so that you need to check if the value is equal to -1. So I copy paste the code here, edit, copy, edit, paste. If not, you can call the function only one time and you can assign the value to the left hand side variable. Based on that, you can further conclude the given integer is positive, negative, or 0. Right? First I complete this, then I tell you the alternate logic. This is equal to -1. The result is negative. Else printf.
Sir, percentage D is not required now, sir.
Yeah, percentage b is not required. Okay, if you put right value of n, circuit percentage b not required. This is 0. This is one logic. Even you have several logics. Return 0. As I said earlier, the important thing, effectiveness, function should execute. Based on that, you need to conclude the result is positive, negative, 0. Okay, let us check the code. File, save, CP43, F9.
So the prototype.
Yeah, very good. A prototype is required. Let me copy paste it. Edit, copy, edit, paste. F2, F9, no problem. Control F9. Enter the integer 25. This is positive. Control F9. Enter the integer -25, negative. Control F9. Enter the integer 0. This is 0. So the function check pass negative 0. This is called twice unexpectedly. This is the first call. This is the second call. In case if you want to avoid, sir, why should I call the function twice? Yes, that is a good question. So to call the function right exactly one time and to conclude the result, further you need to modify the logic. This will be modified in such a way that the returned value is processed. I commented those lines of code. So the result, right, further, right, if I want to optimize a variable, I can write if the returned result edit that edit paste. What happens when we write n is equal to check underscore pass negative positive negative 0 of n. N is actually first passed as a parameter to the function definition so that the function returns any of these three possible values -1, 0, 1. Then that is further assigned to the variable n. That's all. So further you can check if n is equal to 1, printf positive, else if n is equal to -1, printf negative, else this is 0. File save, file, yes, save, control F9, -12, this is negative, control F9, 12 positive, control F9, 0, result is 0. This is another logic. Have any doubts in this example? Have any doubts? This is the function prototype. If you try to specify the function prototype in the main function like this, enter the integer 123. 123 is positive. Or if you specify the function prototype 80 that 80 paste here, what happens? F9 program is compiled, or I combine these two into a single one. Shift delete, file save, F9. There is no issue. So now I want to write tell this the second possible way to make the function prototype is inside the main function, right? So normally, how do we declare the variables? Data type, variables list, semicolon. In the same way, we can also declare the functions here. Function prototype is mentioned inside the main function because when the program execution begins, right? So that stage we need to inform to the compiler that some function is defined or one function is defined, right? Following the main function function. So before the call of the function, check positive, negative, 0. You need to inform to the compiler. So this may be done at two different places. One, before the main function. Second, inside the main function. When you define it inside the main function, only solution is how do we declare the variables at the beginning of the main function section. In the same way, we need to define the function prototype at the beginning of the main function section, following the opening curly brace of main function. For example, here, if this is deleted, and if you try to give after the scanf statement, you please check it, that results in a compile time error because function declarations, right? Function declaration should be provided at the top of the main function section. That means before the main function or inside the main function section. So this is another way to make or to define the function prototype. Other rules are same. Return type, right? Here, what is the return type? Return type is of an integer one. So we have combined, right? I have combined this into two things. Please don't confuse in this place. Int n is one integer variable. Second, check positive negative 0. This is a function name taken as an int one. It seems this is a variable name, but actually this is the function name. So int space function name parameter list. This signifies our logic. Return type function name parameter list. So clearly this forms the same type signature of a function prototype. That means return type function name parameter list, right? All are valid. So this results in no compile time error. Enter the integer 0, the result is 0. So please learn this is also a valid function prototype with respect to the C language. Have any queries? Any doubts? So please try to solve the problems that we have solved earlier, right? For example, we have solved Fibonacci numbers, factorial, sum of the digits of the given integer, reversing that number, and the factorial, sorry, the sine series evaluation, cosine series evaluation, whichever is, whatever the problems that we have solved earlier can easily be converted into functions. While you like to convert them into the functions, carefully decide how many input parameters are required from the calling statement. That should be done exactly. Then function statements carefully define what type of values returned from the function. Return statements should be defined carefully. Then the data type, right? The return type. Then function call statement. This is a function call statement. Are we processing it in the printer statement? Or are we assigning the return value to the left hand side variable? That should be decided carefully. Then the function prototype conveniently declare it before the main function, or if you like to declare inside the main function section, no problem. That is valid one. So please remember the rules of defining the functions. At any stage, only one value is returned from the function, either 1 or 0 or -1. So clearly only one value maximum. At the maximum, a function returns only one value, right? Minimum 0 values can be returned to the calling place. These are the rules of having functions in C. So using these rules, please solve the problems that we have solved earlier, right? So that those problems can be easily converted to the functions. Have any doubts? If you have any other doubts, you can ask me.
Sir,
Yes.
how the questions will be asked, sir?
Questions will be asked, right? In
Yes.
any way. For example, questions may be asked, for example, this kind of numerical problems. Or later, right, we will solve, right, problems based on arrays. So when we say arrays, right, in the third unit, right, we will discuss the concept of arrays. Problem will be based on the string values or characters or some integers, floating point numbers, right? So whatever is the problem, you should understand what needs to be solved. What is the input to the problem? What is the output based on the criteria of an algorithm? Decide input to the problem, output to the problem, and how to solve the problem, right? What type of statements are just to think of whether we need the control statements or whether we need the functions. If they ask, right, define a function like this, you need to define the function separately. So if they are not mentioned, right, define the function or something, it's left to you. If you like, right, you can complete the entire processing inside the main function. Otherwise, if you like, you can split, right, your task into several functions. Even, right, in this example or so far, we have used only one function. If you want to define several functions, say function 1 definition, function 2 definition, function 3 definition, likewise you can define any number of functions. So based on the problem, you are asked, right, how will be the problem? Problem, right, this is based on the basic things, right? For example, numbers or some characters, some values, right? String values, like that. Say some numerical problems, say cosine series evaluation, sine series evaluation, exponential series evaluation, or finding the length of the string, finding the reverse of the string based on character values. So by providing some character inputs, right, we can process something. So inputs are, right, completely character inputs or array of characters or numerical inputs in terms of integer inputs or floating point inputs or long integer inputs. So problem will be, right, basically, right. So whatever you learned earlier, but think of, right, how to provide the solution, what variables, right, and how to provide the solution, right, with function or without function, or using the particular statement, like right, a for loop, while loop, some control statements. So based on that, right, you need to devise the algorithm. So once you designed the algorithm, you can convert it into the equivalent implementation or a program. Have
Okay,
any other
sir.
doubts?
So what will
Manasa,
be
is
the
there
syllabus for CIA, sir?
CIA, right, we will inform you, right, once the date is fixed, right, we will inform you the syllabus. So as of now, right, go through the topics, right, whatever we have discussed. I give you, right, some other practical exercises, right, you try to complete that. And as usual, right, you try to solve all the exercises and upload them, right, in the specific folder, so that I will be able to, right, see your uploads.
Okay, sir.
So prepare well, right, starting from, right, beginning, algorithm, flowchart, pseudocode. Then we have solved several problems, starting from C language, structure, operators, right, expressions, control statements, then functions, everything. Only thing is, right, you need to practice the problems. So you try to solve the problems, whatever we have discussed in the class yourself, right? So close everything and think up and try to write the statements. In case if it is wrong, right, try to modify the logic. So only by experience, from the experience, right, we can program. So don't think that programming is easier, right? Or the same problems will not appear in the examination. So whatever the problem is given, you need to think of, right, the procedure. Then the procedure should be converted into the algorithm. The procedure should be converted into the program. So it comes, right, only by gaining the experience. Manasa, in the last session, you have shown the code for prime numbers. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Manasa, I think you started from 3 to 100 when you
Yes,
shown the
sir.
output. In case if you tried, have you tried to give a value 2? If you give a value 2, I think, right, since 2 is divisible by 2, there you skipped because
Yes, sir.
the input is divisible by 2. So in that case, you try to give, of course, your logic is okay. You try to give a printf statement before the input, right? Please enter the input greater than or equal to 3. So before that, right, you try to write print the message. A 2 is a prime number. Then your code works fine. That's okay. You need to
Okay.
make a little bit modification. Before giving the input, right, prompt the user to provide the input starting from the number 3. Input should be greater than or equal to 3. I forgot to tell yesterday. So please make a note on that. Then any other doubts? Okay, prepare well. I post the materials after some time. Please go through it, and if you have any queries, please ask me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.